as I'm sure you don't with a lot of math things, do you? If I gave you this problem, 0.0000003.1 times 0.000000002. How many of you would enjoy doing that? Or how many look like it might be kind of confusing? Yes, let's do it. Well, rather than doing that, and this would come up in science because we deal with some things that are that small. Rather than doing that, the scientific world and mathematicians have gotten together to make life a little simpler here. And they call it scientific notation. Do we know what this is in scientific notation? Can anybody tell me what that is in scientific notation? First of all, what do I do when I change something in scientific notation? I make it between 1 and 10. So where do I have to move the decimal? If I want to make this number so that it's between 1 and 10, where would I put the decimal? Somebody help me here. Alex?
After the 3.
After the 3. So it's going to move from here to here. So it's going to become 3.1, correct? And that scientific notation always has that times 10. What's going up here? Does anybody know? What is that exponent going to be? Gary?
-2.
Why is it -10? Because I moved the decimal this way. It's a small number, so it is going to be negative. I moved it 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. Very good. -10. I am multiplying that times, what's this number going to be in scientific notation? Peter?
2 times 10 to the
2 times 10 to the, let's count them, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. Oh, look, it's 10 again. Okay. Now, you won't have to do this part, but I'm showing you that's why they do it. They're going to give you this and ask you to solve that. Do you remember back in the day, because this is only different because we're doing negative exponents as opposed to positive numbers, how did we solve scientific notation when you're asked to multiply? Eli, you? Yep, multiply the left sides. Multiply the left sides. So what do I get if I multiply 3.1 times 2? I'll bet you could even do that in your head. 3.1 times 2. Sammy? 6.2 times, you write down times 10, that's the next thing here. No matter what, you're going to get that times 10. Now, what about this? Step number 3 is to multiply the right sides. Multiply the right sides. What do I get if I multiply 10 to the negative 10th times 10 to the negative 10th? Tough one there. What do you do when you multiply bases that have exponents together? How do I multiply that together? Peter?
multiply the exponents.
You don't multiply the exponent, and that's where a lot of people go wrong. I have to add these together. And what do I get when I add a negative 10 with a negative 10? No, that's when you multiply. Negative plus a negative is a bigger negative number, it's negative 20. And that would be the answer to that. Okay, and make sure you add, give yourself a little note when you do that sort of thing there. And then step number 4 is you need to always make sure that your answer is in scientific notation. Yeah. Make sure your answer is in scientific notation. We talked about that too, and I'll do one where it's not, and we'll have to fix it. Okay. So we did this before, just not with negative exponents. So this is kind of, now take a look here. Here's where things get a little dicey. How about this? 1.2 times 10 to the negative 8th power over 3 times 10 to the negative 4th power. Division is virtually the same in that you follow really the same steps. Step number 1 is to divide the left. What do I get if I take 3 and divide it into 1.2? Children? 0.4. I'm going to write down my times 10. I write down my times 10. Step 3 is you need to divide the right. And here again is where things get a little dicey. What happens when I take 10 to the negative 8th and divide it by 10 to the negative 4th? Now let me give you a little helpful advice here. If when you multiply you add exponents, when you divide, Grace, you subtract, and you have to be careful here. Write this down because I am subtracting the bottom from the top. I have a negative 8. You write that somewhere where it writes. I have a negative. Let's recalibrate here. Give you a chance to think about that for a minute. My board's going a little wacko. Give you a chance to think about that. What is a negative 8? Oh, great. No, it's off. What is a negative 8 minus a negative 4? Negative 8 minus a negative 4, Jake, is?
Negative 12.
It is not negative 4. That'd be if negative 8 plus negative 4 is negative 12. This is minus negative 4. Right, because when you have two of the same signs here, that changes it to their opposite. This becomes actually 8 plus 4. Negative 8 plus 4 is a negative 4 for my answer. So I have this, 0.4 times 10 to the negative 4th. And then the last step here is to make sure your answer is in scientific notation. Is my answer in scientific notation?
No.
No, why? Because this number's not between 1 and 10. We talked about this, I hope. How do we fix this? How do we fix this? Yeah, that's part of it. You do have to move the decimal, but you can't just willy-nilly start moving things around without fixing it. And change the exponent. And remembering how to do that, I need to move this decimal one place here and make this a bigger number. So what has to happen to my exponent? It has to balance out. Now if I make this bigger, it balances out by making this one smaller. And what is one smaller than negative 4? Negative 5. By Jove, I think you might have it there. This is one that I always say math is not hard, it's not confusing. None of this is hard to do. It's just hard to remember what to do. It's not like you don't know how to add and subtract 1s and 2s and 3s. It's just getting yourself organized to remember when you'd have to do what and what. That's why you should have notes and write stuff down to yourself. Let me give you one to try while I recalibrate this thing again. Try this while I'm fixing the board. 7.5 times 10 to the negative 3rd. And you're going to multiply that by 2 times 10 to the negative 4th. Now my pen is actually writing in a different color. Uh-oh. Oh, no. I think we're going all together. Hold on a second. Let's see if I have something here still. Sorry, kids. I don't know what's going on. Did I write that down for you? What did I tell you? I'll write it down here. 7.5 times 10 to the negative 4th. Negative 3rd times 2 to the negative 3rd. Go ahead and do that, and I'll get this crazy board fixed up somehow. Anybody? Still thinking? Just redo this here. 7.5 times 10 to the negative third times 2 times 10 to the negative fourth. Alright. Somebody got an answer? Michael Bruel.
15 times 10 to the negative 7.
15 times 10 to the negative 7th. I wish I could tell you that that is right. It's close but no cigar simply because of, it's not in scientific notation. You can't have a 15 in scientific notation, Sammy, so you have to.
1.5 times 10 to the negative 6.
Alright, let's check that out. Okay, I needed to put the decimal here, so it needs to be 1.5. And it's times 10. I made this one smaller, so I need to actually make this one bigger. And Sammy said it's negative 6, and that is correct. Because negative 6 is one bigger than negative 7. How many people got it right except for this part? Yeah, you gotta remember that is key. One more. 8.1 times 10 to the negative 4th. 8.1 times 10 to the negative 4th over 3 times 10 to the negative 7th. 3 times 10 to the negative 7th. Give me a second to do that. What's going on with the board? Oh, good. My mama said there'd be days like these. Got an answer yet? When you did the division, what'd you get for the number? The number is, Peter?
2.7 times 10 to the third.
2.7 times 10 to the third. Do you agree with him on that?
No.
Oh, Peter, what happened? Who's got something else? Gary?
2.43 times 10.
Alright, it's 2.7. Let's just go with that. I know that part's for sure. You did it wrong. I want to spend time doing the division part. My exponent of 10 should be, Jacob?
Negative 3.
-3. Who's got -3 out there in La La Land? Wait, do we have other answers out there? 2.7 times 10 to the.
Oh, 4.
Somebody got another answer out there? Michael, what do you have? As Peter?
Yeah. 27 times 10 to the It's not 27.
What did you get, Sammy?
-27.
-3?
I got negative. I did.
Alright, this is what it should be. Remember, we talked about this, and this is why you should probably write it down. It is this minus this. It's a -4 minus -7. Two negatives together like this will make this a +7. And a -4 and a +7 does give you what Peter had, which was positive.
Yes.
Yeah. Okay, and that's where it gets, that is where most people make their mistakes, so please make sure you take your time when you get to that point. It is this minus this. And if this number down here is a negative, that means you're actually gonna end up adding that number to that. Because when you subtract a negative, it is actually adding. Okay? So be very, very, very careful with that. You want another shot at it? Really? Alright,
I do.
I'm good with that.